Canon has done it again. The R6 series has always been the bread and butter model for professionals and ambitious enthusiasts who didn't want to shell out for the Canon EOS R3 and R1. But with the new Canon EOS R6 Mark III, the lines are finally blurring for good. I've been testing the camera intensively over the last few weeks, and let me say this up front, it's not just a minor update. Canon has tweaked the things that actually matter, the sensor, the video workflow, and all above the speed. But does that justify the steep price tag of around 2,900 euros here in Germany? Let's take a look at the details. The centerpiece is the new 32.5 megapixel full frame sensor. That's a significant jump from the 24 megapixels of the Mark II. Why does this matter? First, cropping reserves. If you shoot wildlife or sports, you now have much more room to crop the image afterwards without the quality tanking. I don't crop often, but it's great that the option is now improved. Second, image quality. While Canon isn't using a stacked sensor here, the readout speed has been massively improved. Despite the higher pixel density, noise performance remains at an excellent level. Files are cleaned up to ISO 6400, and even at 12,800 the camera delivers results you can easily use for your client work. The colors, typically Canon, warm skin tones and dynamic range that feels even more stable in the highlights. Officially the R6 Mark III doesn't have a dual base ISO, yet the noise at ISO 6400 is actually lower than ISO 5000, and I was testing that in video mode. Let's speak about the autofocus and tracking, because here it gets really exciting. The R6 Mark III inherits algorithms from the R5 Mark II and the R1 flagships. The new dual pixel CMOS AF2 system now features register people priority. This means you can pre-register specific faces and the camera will prioritize focus on that person even if other people walk through your frame. For wedding photographers, this is an absolute game changer. Regarding speed, Canon sticks to its impressive 40 frames per second with the electronic shutter, but the most important part, the buffer has been increased thanks to CFexpress Type B slot. Yes, finally it has one. The camera clears data so fast that you barely have any wait times. I covered 2 events using the Canon EOS R6 Mark III with my 1TB Angelbird CFexpress Type B card without any problems. If you film more than you shoot stills, this part here is for you. The Canon EOS R6 Mark III has received some massive upgrades. We're getting 7K RAW internal, and hold on your seats, open gate recording. This means the entire 3.2 sensors read out. Why is that so genius? Because in post-production you can crop both a 16:9 landscape format for YouTube and a 9:16 vertical format for Reels and TikTok from the same file without losing resolution. One difference to the C50, however, that the C50 can save both files simultaneously. Additionally, there's 4K up to 120 frames per second, with Canon Log 2 and 3 for color grading, and everyone who was annoyed by a micro HDMI, Canon has finally installed a full-size HDMI port. It sounds like a small thing, but for the stability of a rig, it's worth its weight in gold. For my recorder, I use a specific cable that is 40 euros cheaper than the one from Atomos. Externally, not much has changed. The ergonomics remain fantastic, the grip is deep and secure, but under the hood, the IBIS, the in-body image stabilization, has received an upgrade. Canon claims up to 8.5 stops of stabilization. In practice, this means handheld, long exposures for several seconds are no longer a problem with a wide-angle lens. I managed to get about 2 seconds without a blurry image through I was holding my breath. One thing you need to know, battery life. The camera uses the new LP6EP battery. Performance is good, but due to the more powerful processor and higher resolution, it drains a bit faster than with the Canon EOS R6 Mark II. So get a spare one. Also make sure to use the LP6EP specifically and not its predecessors, otherwise you might face limitations in burst speed, high frame rate videos or resolution. Is it worth the purchase? If you have the R6 Mark II, it's a luxury upgrade unless you desperately need open gate video or the 32 megapixels for cropping. But if you're still rocking the original R6 or a DSLR like the Canon EOS 5D Mark IV, it is currently the most versatile camera in the Canon lineup. It's fast enough for sports, high resolution enough for studio, and possesses video features usually only found in a cinema series. I was never a fan of the R6 series. For me, essentially things were always missing compared to the R5 series. whether it was resolution, video frame rates, or having enough megapixels for landscape and architecture. However, I can no longer tell the difference between this and the Canon EOS R1 when it comes to autofocus and tracking, and though 32 megapixels are a real step forward. Thanks to CFexpress, buffer issues are gone and that annoying crop factor is a thing of the past. As of March 2026, I would actually say for the first time I'd prefer the R6 Mark III over the R5 Mark II, because personally it does everything I need. Your mileage may vary, but this is my personal experience. What do you think? Is the jump to 32 megapixels and CFexpress enough to take your switch? Let me know in the comments below, and if this video helped you, make sure to subscribe, thumbs up, and see you next time here on The Daniel Life.